Hello, Kenson here, and today I'll be talking about my data structures assignment 1, where we had to implement the functions for a weighted directed graph. And I'll start by running this submission here to see that it actually compiles and runs on end. Yeah, as you can see, it just compiled. And since I'll now begin to talk about the code and the struggles that I had and how I dealt with them throughout this assignment. The main code that I wanted to talk about was the second order neighbors code, because most of the other tests were supplied to me either in the lecture slides or in the demos, and there was little design that I had to change, except for the second order neighbors one where I had to come up on my own, well, half of it from scratch. And yeah, I'll begin by discussing my design for this code. First, I created a vector called first order neighbors, and I assigned it to get neighbors, uh, with UID, so get neighbors of the chosen vector. And this get neighbors method was applied to me from the demo. Next, I made a vector called result, which is used to store the second order neighbors later on. And for moving on, I made a loop for the first order neighbors, and another loop which is used to loop through the second part of the matrix. So this is because a matrix is two-dimensional and it requires two numbers to loop through it. So xid would be the first number and y would be the second number. And by doing this, we are able to check if the vertices are adjacent, and hence the term neighbors. And if y does not equal to the chosen ID, which means that they are not duplicate, then we would run another duplicate method check, which checks that the result that I get from this vector result, see if z is equal to y. If it is equal, then we would say that it's duplicate and would stop the method there. If it was not duplicate, then we would push the result or add on the value of y into vector result, which basically stores the whole list of second order neighbors. And at the end of this method, we'll return result. And that was basically the whole second order neighbors method. As the rest of the code down here, it was most of the chunk of it was provided for me throughout the learning slides or the demo code on Ed, so I don't think that I struggled as hard. As for the struggles that I had while doing this assignment, a lot of it was because, well, maybe because it was online uni and I didn't have as much motivation or something, or I didn't pick up on the concepts as much. While doing this assignment, I made sure that I asked a lot of questions using the discussion board, and I Googled a lot of things that I didn't understand, and I tried to ask people for help and what they thought about my code, mainly using the discussion board anonymously. And maybe sometimes I would go to the learning lecture slides and see if there was anything that would help me for this assignment. And basically that was it. For this assignment, I only achieved 9 out of 10, 9 out of 12 tests, as the other 3 were too hard to implement. And I think that time was another issue, which I failed to account for. And that would be the end of my presentation today. Thank you for listening to me.